Just try to limit it to 3 hates this time. 3 and under. That's the rule.
You know what I hate?
Yeah, you know what I hate, man.
Welcome to Mind the Game with LeBron James and JJ Redick, brought to you by Uninterrupted and 342 Productions. This is episode 6. This episode is all about how three-pointers change the game. And yes, I am biased, and yes, this is my favorite episode we have done so far. We explore pickup points, high pick and rolls, the deep range with which players can shoot with, the step back three, LeBron's own evolution as a shooter, and perhaps closest to my heart, we nerd out on all the different catch and shoot sets that teams run to get shooters open. There is a lot of basketball and shooting in this episode. We recorded this a few weeks ago in Los Angeles prior to the start of the playoffs. But again, most of the stuff we do is not topical. I hope you enjoy episode 6 of Mind the Game with LeBron James and JJ Redick. Before we get to our conversation, I'm just going to drop some plays. All right, a lot of these are catch and shoot plays, set pieces, some side out of bounds. This is sort of an end game victory. I don't know who came up with this. I think Brad Stevens ran this when he was the Boston Celtics coach. I know Klay Thompson got a game winner on this season. This is a variation of it. There's different ways you can get to it. The basic concept here is that you're going to get a screen and a screen here. So this is a back screen along the baseline. As that's happening, this ball is going to be skipped all the way to the corner. This is the shooter, the circled player right here. So he receives a screen. As that ball's in the air, the 5-man turns back around and screens the shooter. You get an open shot a lot of times. There's 2 reasons why this play can work. Number one, a lot of times if this is a shooter away from the ball and the ball is over here, this defender is going to be in a top lock, trying to prevent him from getting the ball. So you use that against him by having the rescreen. Second thing is, let's say this defender fights over the top. What is everybody's tendency when the ball is in the air? They turn and look at the ball, right? They stop for a second so that rescreen can get the shooter open. Okay, a million different ways to get into a hammer action, but I'll just break it down very simply. The shooter is right here. There's usually a screener somewhere on the baseline, and let's say this is the passer and the big wing. As he drives baseline, this guy will come set a hammer screen for the shooter, who then catches the pass along the baseline. Like I said, a million different ways to get into this. San Antonio Spurs, back when they have Boris Diaw, Manu Ginobili, Boris would post up on this block or Manu would catch on this block. And I mean, these guys would literally, to make that skip pass, Boris would jump out of bounds to make that skip pass. Manu, if he would drive or post, he would jump out of bounds to make this skip pass. All right. Pistol action is just any interaction in a 5-out normally. Normally, you have a 5-out setup. That's the ball handler. There's a man here in the corner. This guy can also start here in the wing. It actually doesn't really matter. There's a number of options you can run out of pistol. This guy can come catch the ball and he can chase it. This guy can catch the ball, keep it, go into a ball screen. For the purposes of this episode, this is a variation of pistol. This would just be a pistol flare. So this guy can come set a ball screen or ghost screen. He comes off the screen. As that happens, the 5-man sets a flare screen for the shooter. The ball's right here. You've got a shooter coming off a flare screen. And then the 5-man can either slip to the basket or continue on, set a ball screen. Just different options out of pistol. All right. Indiana / what the fuck. All right. I'm going to run this 2 different ways. So let's say this guy's the shooter. This is a side out of bounds play. Ball's right here. This is the 5-man. This is typically a big wing. So picture this as Jimmy Butler or Kawhi Leonard. The inbounder will throw to the 5-man. The 5-man will reverse it. As that happens, the shooter will set a back screen on the bigger player. You can either get a switch. The bigger player can punish a mismatch, or even if they don't switch, then there's a pick the picker. Get balls over here. Ball's over here now. It's been reversed. This guy goes and sets a rip screen, a back screen on the bigger player who can cut either way to the basket. Then there's a pick the picker for the shooter. I ran this a lot in Philadelphia. And when we would run it, I would sometimes take it out or I would be here. So if I took it out, say this is me, as that ball is reversed, this guy comes to set a back screen. I give a little nudge and I get the pick right here. I don't go off the back screen. The other thing the shooter will do, you see Duncan Robinson do this all the time. This is Jimmy Butler. Here's the 5. All right, ball's in. Ball reverses. Duncan goes to set the pick. He simultaneously just slips out of there and gets the screen from the 5-man coming up top. Oklahoma small. Again, every team has different terminologies, but this is generally considered Oklahoma action. Now, you can run it to either way. If it's Golden State, Klay Thompson's over here sometimes. For the purposes of this is going to be me running this. So this is a double drag. It starts with a double drag screen. The shooter's the first screen. So I set a screen. Ball handler comes off. 5-man sets a screen. As soon as he sets the screen, he then picks me. That's Oklahoma action. So double drag into a pick the picker. Show you 2 variations of this. Let's say you put the shooter as the second guy. Miami did this a lot last year with Max Strus. Golden State does this with Klay. So this is the 5-man again. As the ball handler comes off this first screen from the 5, the shooter will just slip into space. A lot of times this is actually an empty side. So the shooter has this whole side. Again, shooter, 5-man. First screen, as he comes off, shooter goes to set the screen, slips into space. As the ball handler comes off and the shooter goes, 5-man can also set a little flare screen right there. But again, every time that you generally see this is an empty side. Here's one variation of Oklahoma small action that Utah will run for Markkanen. So this is Markkanen right here. He'll come up from basically the block. He'll set the first screen. Big guy will come up. He'll set the second screen. Ball handler comes off. So now you've got Markkanen here. Ball handler over here. 5-man's just set the second ball screen. He then goes and screens Oklahoma action. Just a little variation. All right, Finland. We're calling this Finland. In some ways, this is a variation of Oklahoma small. It also has the same sort of concept that Indiana has. So floor is spaced. This is the shooter right here. All right, same thing. Double drag. This is typically bigger wing, 4-man. Double drag. As that happens, the shooter will set a back screen on the bigger wing or 4-man who can look for a lob. So now you've got that guy running for a lob. Shooter's already set the screen. Ball handler's over here. This is the 5. 5 then goes and runs a pin away for the shooter. All right, that's Finland for the purposes of this episode. But again, same sort of concepts as Oklahoma, same sort of concept as Indiana. All right, Clipper down or 15 down. think LeBron calls it clipper down because he stole it from us, but we called it 15 down. And you see a lot of this. All right, so this is the 5 right here. This is the shooter in the corner. Again, this is, let's say it's me. This is Chris Paul with the ball. This is DeAndre Jordan. 15. 15 was the call for our high pick and roll between a 1 and a 5. So 15 down is 15 into a down screen. So DeAndre would come up like he was going to set the pick and roll. Chris would come off. DeAndre would slip it and then go set a pin down for me. Chris then hits me coming off left to right action. Free game. Previous episode, we talked about Iverson cuts. All right. This is Iverson Ricky. Don't know why I call it that, but I do. 5-man's right here. Shooters right here. Ball handlers right here. All right. The wing is going to run this Iverson cut off of these 2 screens. The ball handler is going to hit the wing off of the Iverson cut and chase it to the corner. Ball's right here. Again, remember the shooter set the first screen. 5-man set the second screen on the Iverson. So the shooter's right here. 5 just goes and pins away. Open 3 up top. It's essentially the same concept as Oklahoma. You're just doing it off of an Iverson cut. Iverson Ricky. Maybe we should call it Iverson Oklahoma. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. I know I loved having this conversation with LeBron about 3-point shooting. This is Mind the Game, episode 6, how 3-point shooting changed everything. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for all the support. We'll be back soon with another episode.
There's probably going to be some comments because now there's 4 bottles of wine here and not 2.
Yeah, we started with 2. I don't understand. It's like
you brought 2. Our friend David brought a couple.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I want to talk in this episode about 3-pointers because we've talked spacing.
Yep.
We've talked some specific actions. I want to get big picture 3-pointers, why it's important, how it's changed.
Yep.
And then get granular with some specific actions that teams run for specific players.
Yep.
I want to start, though. The other night in Brooklyn, you went 9 for 10 from 3.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the inspiration, too.
I wasn't even in town. I was on spring break with my kids.
I thought about you the whole time I was in Brooklyn. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can you describe that state of being?
I mean, I guess only a few of us can describe it. You being one of them. A few other guys being in that zone. It's you know, I used to watch this movie back in the day called Major League. And the famous quote off Major League is "Chicks dig the long ball."
Yes.
And it's a different feeling when you're shooting that 3 ball like that. It's just I don't know, it's a euphoric feeling that's different from catching a lob, dunk for myself, or getting a zone where you like, okay, you know, I'm in the post, my post game is working. But when you shooting that 3 ball at a high clip like I was doing in Brooklyn, it was like, that was one of the best feelings for sure.
There's a like a flow state attachment, I feel like, when you're shooting 3s. Because I play golf, and golf is about muscle memory, muscle sequencing.
Yep.
And when you're shooting a basketball, it is about that muscle memory, muscle sequencing. And it's not always right. That's the thing. That's the thing I don't think people understand is you can shoot 8 threes and make 4 of them. And you're not in the flow state.
Right.
Subsequently, I can shoot 8 threes and make 4 of them and feel like every shot was effortless.
Yep.
There's a big difference to me. I remember specific games where I would shoot 6 for 11 from 3 and be like, it didn't feel right tonight.
Why is that? Because I understand exactly what you're saying.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Because when you are in that rim of shooting, sometimes it doesn't even feel right and it goes in and you like, what the fuck was that? And you just keep going with it. Like, it's like, I mean, the other night in Brooklyn, though, everyone I took a couple of threes in Brooklyn that I don't take on a game-to-game basis.
Right corner, gather.
right corner
And
gather.
then the left step back gather.
Yeah.
Those are stupid.
Yeah. I was just feeling really good. You know I love New York, man.
Joe Mazzulla said something the other day, and it was like, it's pertinent to this conversation, I think. He was talking about Al Horford and how one of the reasons Al has had longevity and is still an impactful player is because he has evolved with the game. You think about Al early in his career with Atlanta, he's shooting heavy dose of mid-range.
Yep.
He's playing drop coverage,
guarding
fives.
Yep.
Then he becomes a three-point shooter. He becomes a switch defender.
Guy. Yep.
He becomes a high post hub.
Yep.
Those years with IT, he was a high post hub.
Yep.
And so, in some ways, the three-point shooting with you have evolved and adapted with the game.
Yeah.
Has any coach, front office person, analytics person, like on staff, have they ever came to you and talked to you about analytics and shot profile with you?
No.
Never had that discussion.
Man, fuck no. No. I mean, listen,
You know that those discussions are happening, though.
Yeah, for sure. Of course they are.
Certain players are told.
Oh yeah, for sure. That do not take those shots anymore. No, because I've always been a very efficient basketball player. I'm not a guy to go out and cast a bunch of shots. I try to get, I won't say the best shot, because you can never get, every possession you can't always get the best shot. But I've always tried to figure out ways on the floor where I could, that possession, maybe get the best shot. And sometimes you may have to force one into the shot clock, or, you may feel like in a good rhythm, you may force one, whatever the case may be. But I've never been too much of a pull-up jump shooter, off the dribble, mid-range shooter. I did it a little bit early on in my career.
Yeah,
early in my career, But as I've gotten older, I've been more in the post, mid-range as far as the Karl Malone area on the block. And now I've expanded my game to the three-point line over the last few years, where I feel like pretty much unguardable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I knew what that feeling was like. My second year in Philly. So my first year in Philly, I shot, a fucking 42-point-something% from three. And average a career high. A measly 17, but I'm very proud of that 17 points a game. And, I was a guy, second half of my career, I had a home base in the offseason. So I'd go train, and I wasn't around the team. Then I'd come back right before training camp.
Yep.
When I got back that second year, I had our analytics guy said, I want to meet with you. And he showed me all these different charts and stats about if you stop shooting mid-range and start shooting more threes. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Bron. I was a great mid-range shooter. A great mid-range shooter.
For sure.
And I was told, shoot more threes. So that second year, I took 8 a game, which was my career high.
Right.
And I averaged over 18 a game. But my efficiency dropped to 39.7% or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it's still mathematically, this is the thing people don't understand. Mathematically, it was better for me to shoot more at 39% than shoot those middies at 49% or whatever I was doing. That's the wild thing about the NBA.
Yeah, I can sit here and tell you that I definitely have some of our coaches on our coaching staff. They want me to shoot more threes.
They're encouraging it.
Yeah, they're encouraging me to shoot more threes. I can't do it. I can't get to that. I can't get to that.
Is it a pride thing? Is it an ego thing?
No, it's not an ego thing. It's not an ego thing. It's like, I'm not putting enough pressure on the defense if I'm shooting 12 to 14 threes a game. If I'm shooting 12, 14 threes a game, I feel like I can hit 6 or 7 of them. If I'm fucking off, then 3 or 4 of them maybe. But I can shoot high clip if I'm shooting 14 a game. I'm gonna get in the rhythm, but I'm not putting pressure on the defense, and that's not me.
Right.
I got to put pressure on the defense. If we have the guys already on our team shooting a bunch of threes, which is okay. I love that. There has to be some pressure on the rim. I have to put some fear in the defense that you're not about to make me just shoot all jump shots, even if I'm shooting the well.
So it's a great point because I think certain players, and you're one of them that can do it with your drives. Luka, same way. James in Houston, same way with his ISOs and his drives. Duncan Robinson, a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But certain players can cause an overreaction.
Oh, for sure.
And I want to get into that later on.
For
but
sure.
that's where this conversation is going. But I want to do some stats first. I just want to read you some stats, okay? So in 2013, 2014, which was the first year of the tracking era,
Yep.
league average 21.5 three-point attempts per game. This year, it's 35 three-point attempts per game. Those numbers, 35. Almost 14 more threes a game. Those numbers are as of April 3rd. The Rockets in 2013, 2014 took 26.6 threes a game. That was number one. Grizzlies took, the grit and grind Grizzlies took 14 threes a game. They were last in the league. This year, the Nuggets are the number 30 team in three-point attempts per game. And they shoot 31 a game. You guys are 29. Orlando's 28.
Right there. Yeah. I was about to say we're right
Pistons
there.
are 27. So obviously, threes have gone up.
Yeah,
Not
for
all
sure.
threes are created equal, though.
No.
Here's some other data that I love this. There's 22 players this year that have taken 150 or more threes off the dribble. Luka's number one. He's taken 497, again, as of April 3rd. In 2014, 2015, only 4 players took 150 threes or more off the dribble. The interesting thing is there's been no change in effective field goal percentage from those numbers.
Yeah.
It's still right around 55%. Pick and roll, it's literally the same thing. 16 players have taken 150 or more pick and roll threes this year. Luka's number one at 361. 6 players took 150 threes or more in pick and roll in 2014, 2015. The effective field goal percentage is the same. So by prioritizing the three, offenses have become more efficient.
Yeah.
What does the threat, this is the overreaction part, what does the threat of Steph Curry in a high pick and roll, Damian Lillard in a high pick and roll, Trae Young in a high pick and roll, Luka in a high pick and roll, what does that do? How does that bend the defense? How does that cause the overreaction?
2 on the ball. It's a numbers game. You 2 on the ball. If you got great screen setters, Draymond, Capella, whoever Luka is going to have, either if it was Dwight Powell, now, Daniel Gafford.
Lively.
Yeah. He's learned it quick.
Yeah, he has.
He's learned it quick. If you have a great screen setter and you have a laser like that who shoots, like you said, over 300 off the dribble pick and roll threes, that's the chain reaction. That's why you have all these guys that's shooting career higher percentages with these lasers than they ever do with anybody else, because it's the chain reaction. The numbers game is automatic. If you're not up on the screen, you're late, you're going to have 2 on the ball, and those guys are good enough, great enough to play in the pocket. Now it's 4 on 3. And we talked about this last time. Draymond Green's biggest asset offensively for Golden State is his ability to get Steph open, Klay open, but then play in the pocket where his asset is 4 on 3, and now his IQ kicks in. That's the threat. If you can't cause a trigger, then everyone's going to be at home. That's the name of the game. How can you cause a trigger? Pick and roll, pin down, DHOs, split game. Whatever it is, whatever your portfolio of your team and your player, how can you cause the trigger? Because once the trigger happened, that's when you become successful.
Yeah. Last year in the playoffs, Anthony Davis, who you give glowing reviews on this podcast about his ability to be in multiple places at once.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State strategy became high pick and roll with Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get Anthony Davis
away from the basket.
Right. So going through that,
yeah,
and those adjustments that you guys made throughout that series, because I think an important part of this too was they essentially were playing 2 non-shooters with Draymond and Kavan.
Mm-hmm.
And then to open up space, it was something that, in terms of volume, Steve Kerr and Steph Curry had never ran that amount of volume of pick and rolls prior to that series. So what were sort of the adjustments that you guys made once they had success with that?
So we had to start switching because like I always keep saying, once Draymond gets into the pocket, it is very, very, very hard to now reel it back. You can't allow Day-Day to play in the pocket because he's too damn good. And also what you can't not do, at the same time, if you're the big X5 or X4 and you're guarding the pick and roll, you can't be late on Steph Curry's pick and roll because it's going to be a great screen and Steph is coming off clean. If you have the personnel, which obviously a lot of teams don't, that's why not many teams have beat Golden State in the playoffs, in a playoff series, have the ability to switch.
You talk about being late on a Steph Curry pick and roll. So I fucking hated this play. I hated this play. And when I was on the Clippers, they would just kill us with this. So this oftentimes would be a guy, let's say it's Clay. So you're not going to switch. This is the 5-man.
Yep.
He's going to set a down screen at this angle.
Try to clip the 5.
Try to clip the
X5
5.
or X4.
We've talked about this before.
Yep.
Bigs are terrible navigating screens.
For sure. The worst.
So all of a sudden, Draymond, Andrew Bogut,
Flying.
they've now created separation
And they're
up here.
flying, yes.
This defender right here, and I'm sorry for drawing the X's as offensive players, but it's just how I do it. This defender is naked. He's on an island, right?
He doesn't know what's going on. Meanwhile, he's like this the whole time.
So now this
big
is behind this play.
Yep.
He's 5-6 steps behind this play.
Yep.
As Steph comes off here, again, he can shoot this 3, right? He's got the separation required. But oftentimes what would happen is this overreaction from the big to get out.
Steph does like this.
Yes.
And just drops it in the pocket.
Drop it in the pocket. It's a 4-3.
Yep. And now Clay has worked his way out here. You're afraid to leave Clay. And you got Andre Iguodala, Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga. You know what's going on.
Yeah. So obviously Steph can shoot this 3.
Yep.
But as this big is frantically trying to get out here,
Yeah, he's done.
the overreaction
Yeah.
to the threat of this,
Yep.
he's going to overcommit, whether it's a shot fake or whether it's just getting out. This defender right here, he's chasing.
He's chasing over.
So now the big has a free run.
Yep. And
Pocket pass.
Draymond pocket pass lob to one of those athletes, and it's over with.
I mean, this is the stuff though that in different ways, Damian Lillard gets this. Trae Young gets this. It's,
Yep.
I'm sure there's other guys I'm forgetting, but
Luka.
it's this idea of these high pick and rolls, because now we see, like, I'm going to draw it correctly this time.
You have a dry erase board today.
Now we see pick up points just inside half court.
Yep.
Again, you're asking
You're
first of all,
the
you're
big.
asking this guard
Yeah.
to navigate.
They call it the 4-point line now.
Yeah. And secondly,
Bigs are not accustomed. They can't.
this is the thing I just want to point out, because I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and it goes back to, like, the 5-out concept.
Yep.
It's like I love watching basketball, period, and I love watching any era. I watch games on YouTube. It's like I wish I could have seen some of these players in person. They're educational and informative, LeBron. They're educational and informative. Like, we would never see this where, an offensive team is going this way and 2 players run to the block. We'd never see that, right? So now,
Yeah, that's over with.
that was the requirement.
Yeah, it
like
was.
for a big, this is the area. Even early in my career, this was the requirement. That's the area you have to cover.
Yep.
Last year's playoff series against the Warriors is a great example. You're now asking Anthony Davis to cover all over here. And by the way, we need you to get back and
cover
protect
the
the rim.
rim.
The point in all this is, again, going back to just spacing and 5-out.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're taking, sorry, I'm oscillating between X and O's, offense and defense. If this is X5 right here.
Yep.
He's got an O and an X. But if you're taking in your case, by the way, because I've looked up the data on this, you're taking a top 5 to 10 rim defender all the way out of here. You're then relying on some of the worst rim defenders by percentages in the NBA this season. For sure. That is the challenge of a modern defense.
That is.
Because there's enough guys, as I just went through this, the numbers, there's enough guys night to night that are shooting out of high pick and roll.
Yeah, and Dallas have 2 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Luka comes off the pick and roll, the big's up, and then he swings it to Kyrie. The big got to get all the way over there and do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
That's what Boston is so good. That's why you're afraid to even have a big up instead of just switching everything. But then they have so many great one-on-one players.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, what do you do? Like with Trae Young, it's like you don't really want Capella to get in behind the defense because that's his niche. He blocks shots, and on the other end, he creates havoc by getting a good screen, using his speed to either really sometimes don't even screen because he knows the big is going to be up, so I'm going to slip behind the defense.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that is the difficult challenge for coaches.
Here's another interesting thing that I found.
You need the other pen there. You going here or are you going?
I'm going to go here in a second.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting thing that I found about threes. So let's call 18 to 24 seconds on the shot clock. Let's call that early shot clock.
Yep.
Okay? First 6 seconds of the shot clock. In 2014, 2015, the average team for this season took 322 total threes in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock.
Okay. What is this? You said 13, 14?
Yeah,
Okay.
14, 15.
15.
Five teams attempted below 200 total threes for the season in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock.
Yep.
Last season's data, that number was up by 100 total threes. Basically 420 total threes.
Yep.
Half the league attempted 400 or more total threes in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. That's the other thing that has changed the most, is when you get a defensive stop, and I don't care where the fuck you are on the court when you get this stop, where are people running?
Yeah. Run wide. That's all you hear.
Run wide.
To
To the three-point line.
That's it.
Okay? Right? So these early shot clock threes, you know what the average effective field goal percentage on that is? Same thing, 55%.
Really?
It's a good shot.
I can't wrap my head around it. Am I too old school? I don't want to say old school, but am I too still like in my ways of?
Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm gonna give you something here, though.
Zero pass shots?
I'm gonna give you something here, though. I'm gonna give you something. You got guys running wide.
Correct.
Running at the corner. This is you with the ball.
Yeah.
This is Giannis with the ball.
Yeah.
This is Ja Morant with the ball.
Space.
What does that give you?
So much space. Early attacks.
There's a reason that you motherfuckers are averaging like 10 fast break points a game.
Early attacks. Yeah, somebody told me I was second in fast break points the other day. Who did we just play? Oh no, it was Toronto. Yeah, one of their players said, "Man, what the hell are you doing? How are you second?" Because I think they played the night before, so they had a walkthrough on their court. And then as soon as the court opened, I get on the court, and one of the players was like, "How the hell are you second in fast break points?"
It's because this is where D'Lo's running, dude. And this is where Austin's running.
Well, D'Lo like to stop a little bit.
He's like a break.
Yeah, he's a break guy. Yeah, he loves the break. But definitely, Rui, AR, yeah, TP, they definitely get into the corners.
So the volume of threes.
Yeah.
The volume of threes, because we're talking about not all threes are created equal. But in some ways, the types of threes that offenses are generating are created equal.
Correct.
They have essentially the same value. If we're looking at it through analytics, these type of threes have the same value. The last one I want to get into before we get into just some ways to generate threes for catch and shoot guys. The other one, and I don't have the data in front of me right now, but I looked it up in January, is we've seen it. James Harden in ISO. Luka in ISO. Kyrie in ISO, right? The step back three. The individual Steph Curry, the individually created step back three. Going back to the same tracking era, last 10 years, roughly 33% is the average value or average shooting percentage of a step back three 10 years ago. Now it's a little over 35%. So it's gone up 2 percentage points, and the volume has gone up. Guys are able and willing, Jason Tatum, they're able and willing to take that shot not only more frequently, but at a higher clip. I'm trying to explain here why offenses are good.
Offenses are good and very hard.
This shot is worth 1.5 more than this shot. If you can make it.
If you can make it.
If you can make it.
So what happens when?
No, the value of this versus the value of this versus the value of this.
So what happens when?
Why do you think you guys have a good offense?
Houston Rockets missed 25 or 28 straight threes.
Have you seen it happen since?
I have not. How many did they miss in a row?
27.
27 straight threes.
27.
And they kept shooting them.
Yeah.
It's not like all of them was only 3-point shooters. It's not like they had fucking 5 Craig Hodgeses on their team or 5 Steve Kerrs on the floor, where that's all they can do is shoot threes. They had guys that can, Eric Gordon, you can get into the paint. James Harden, you can get into the paint.
But you're making a valid point.
Well, why?
You're making a valid point, and I want to acknowledge your point. You still have to be a basketball player.
Thank you.
You still have to read the game.
That's all.
You
That's
still
all
have
I
to
ask.
understand
That's all I ask.
time and score. So
there's a time and place where analytics should be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Okay?
There was a coach that told me this year, he's like, he talks all the time about like managing the game. And he's over there and he's looking at the box score during timeouts. And he's looking at how many threes have we made and attempted versus how many threes the other team has made and attempted. What is their star player shooting from 2? What is the time and score? Do I need to double? All of these things are being like equated or calculated in real time. So there is some game management involved. It's not just like,
so you telling me I need to shoot more threes? Is that what you're telling me?
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. But I would say this, LeBron, you guys, your offense for the first part of the season was not a good offense.
No, we couldn't shoot.
The second you started making threes, you became a top 5 or 6 offense.
But we always said, like, the law of averages is going to even itself out. The first month and a half, 2 months, we couldn't hit the side of a fucking cow's ass from 3-point. We couldn't. So, but like you just said, we're 29th in 3 points attempted, but people are complaining while we're top 5 in free throw attempts because that's what we do.
I think there's every team you have to coach differently. Every team based on personnel.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Absolutely.
The fact that all of a sudden D'Lo became a high volume, high efficiency 3-point shooter halfway through a season, started back in January.
Yeah.
That adds value to the offense.
Yeah, for sure.
Your free throw thing, by the way, I'm not going to get into the discourse right now about the foul thing. But there are certain teams that foul more than others, and there are certain teams that put pressure on the rim more than others.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can not foul and you can get to the free throw line, that creates an advantage. In the same way that making and taking more threes versus making and taking less threes creates an advantage.
Well, I mean, Mike D'Antoni was on to something. He knew before this shit even got cracking like it is now.
I'll give Daryl Morey, give Daryl some credit.
Give Daryl some credit.
I went in for a shoot around one year. This was like early stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like this is public, so like this is not like, but I just remember going in to do a shoot around one year, and for some reason, I know what it was. Keith let me use the cold tub in their locker room, and after shoot around, and I go in and I walk by the locker room, and they had like LED boards above their locker with like their true shooting percentage, like all that shit. And I was like, oh man, just a constant reminder of whether or not you suck or whether you're good. That's amazing.
Get your ass on the practice court right now and get some fucking shots up. That's funny. That's good.
The last type of 3. We've talked about getting 2 on the ball, 4 on 3.
Yep.
A lot of times that creates swing.
Yep.
Get it in the paint.
Yep.
Draymond kicks it out. Those are catch and shoot 3s.
Yep.
Stand still catch and shoot 3s.
Yep.
I want to talk about a different type of catch and shoot 3s, and that is the movement catch and shoot 3. let's hypothetically say I'm on your team.
Yep.
And I'm 4 for 5 from 3. It's the second quarter, under 3-minute timeout. We've got a 9-point lead, trying to turn into double figures, our ball. You got to drop a ATO for me.
This is the ATO?
Yeah.
And we're a pretty good team. I'm on your team.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We have a good screening 5-man.
We have a good screening 5-man? Okay, perfect. You want to draw it up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's put, I'll be here.
All right.
Yep. We'll put the 5-man here.
Okay.
You know what? No, I'm going to start over. I'm going to put you here, JJ, to start.
All right.
I'm going to put the 5-man here, same side as the ball is being taken out of.
Okay.
So that's the 1 or the 2.
All right.
And then two-man is right here.
Well, I'm the 2-man.
Okay, so put the 3 there.
3's there.
All right. So on the slap of the ball, simultaneously, JJ, you're going to come to the ball. You're 4 for 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So X5 or the 5-man's going to screen you, bring you to the ball.
Okay.
At the same time, the 3-man's going to set a cross screen for me, go underneath.
Okay.
All right. As soon as that happened, the 1 is going to throw it over the top to me. I have to catch it over the top. And as soon as I catch it over the top, because your man is so afraid of you coming towards the ball, what is the first thing a defender does when a ball
Turns his head.
turns his freaking head? As soon as that happened, re-screen for you, Jay.
Yep. Victory.
Victory. We're going to get you a great
Victory. No, it's Brad Stevens, victory.
Oh, that's what it's called.
This is, yeah.
I've run it before, too.
Who'd you run it with? Do you remember who the shooter was?
I ran it for, Danny Green before.
Yes.
Yes.
Because Kerr ran it for Clay for a game winner. I can't remember if it was last year or this year.
Yeah. I like that one.
This is a great one.
I have another one.
Chris
for you.
Finch loves this one.
Yeah, I have another
I don't know
one.
that he's run it, but he showed me this when I was with him in New Orleans.
You take the ball out now. 5. Me. 4. And the 3.
All right, I'm playing 1.
At the slap of the ball, pin down for me.
Okay.
I catch it. As soon as that happened, I want the 4 to work his way underneath and just stay there. Look very like he don't know what the hell's going on. Obviously, you already know what's about to happen.
I know what's going to happen.
I bring the ball across. This guy, X3, slips it.
Go screen.
Yep. I take off all the way around. Here comes the hammer.
Let me get everybody set up.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
Get everybody set
Get
up.
everybody set up. Yep. JJ's there. The 4's worked his way underneath. Yep. I've taken off.
3's here.
Yep. 3's there. I'm taking off at the same time. He turns around. Your guy's paying attention to the damn ball. We set a nice hammer for you. I wish it was flipped. So you can.
You know what's funny?
Go left, right here.
When
on
I
the
ran
side.
hammer action, I like shooting this way.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not sure. I'm dead serious, bro. I'm not sure.
Really? Yeah, we've already.
I like the defense on this side.
You're right.
Of it. I don't
you
know
didn't get
for
no.
some
You
reason.
got no leg kick on this one though. On this side, you didn't get a leg kick on.
You
this
know what
side.
I'm thinking about? I think one of the reasons.
Those are two
By the way,
great plays, by the way.
the 5 as you drove would dive towards the rim. I didn't
for
draw
sure.
the 5. That's what the
Yeah,
5
for
would
sure.
do. What's interesting when you think about this, so if you remember San Antonio,
Huh?
they would post Boris Diaw right here,
Correct.
and he would legitimately drive and jump out of bounds.
Yes, you do it.
And they would do it with Manu too, but Manu would do it over here because
So he
he's
got his left
left-handed.
hand.
So I think that's one of the reasons I always ran it this way when we run it.
And I think that we stole that from San Antonio at one point. I don't remember what year it was, but Mike Dunleavy was on our team. It's one of my greatest assists I've ever had. And we ran a hammer action for Mike Dunleavy versus Orlando, I believe it was, at home in Cleveland. And I wrapped it around baseline
I remember that. Yeah.
for Dunleavy to hit a 3. It was kind of, it's pretty cool. I like that assist.
Hammer action.
Hammer action.
Yes.
Yes.
You see it all the time, end game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times teams will run it.
Yep.
Matter of fact.
Set the step up first.
I'm gonna actually just kind of discombobulate things.
Yep.
But teams will run it. We'll set a step up
Yep,
or
we'll set
whatever,
the
and
step
you
up.
just turn the corner. Let's say this guy cuts the middle, 5-man peels out, times it, of course.
Times it, yep.
Yep. And then I get the
Yep.
hammer action.
Yep.
It's that weak side. I don't even know how to describe the screen because it's not really a back screen. So it's a hammer screen. I guess it's.
When I was in Cleveland, we will have the guy that we wanted to catch the ball on the hammer screen. He would take it out.
Yep.
So, and then we would have the other shooter, in this angle. So he would actually slip this screen, and the shooter would go here. And my first look is the shooter here. And if he's not open, then I have the other shooter, because the 5 is trailing, he's going to clean that up for the other shooter coming all the way around. Right. So I will look at the hammer action. If he's not there, you do the whole fundamental.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. The other thing that happens here, so let's say this is you driving for the hammer action.
Yep.
Let's just say it's the one that you played this little pistol 21 action with. And I've taken the ball out and come off here. The other shooter's right here.
Yep.
So what teams will do as this screen happens, let's say the 5-man, after he sets the hammer, he comes and gets up here to set this second one. What teams will do sometimes is top lock this. This slot cut actually ends up being open. Or sometimes, depending on where the 5 or the 4 sets this hammer screen, right? It's a quick slip to the basket. So teams, if they know they're switching or they know, hey, they got their radar up for hammer, they will actually, this could be the first option, this slip.
And I'll even take it even further, what you're saying. You're down 3. If you get a guy that slips to the rim, I guarantee, even if the coach has said in the timeout, no threes, if you get one guy to slip to the rim, there will be one guy that will have a reaction. You get one guy, you throw the ball to him slipping to the rim, there's going to be one defender, X1 or 5, that will relax, and you just use that as I got you, just to kick out for a 3.
Right.
When you've told everybody in the timeout, everybody stay the fuck home. We're up 3. If they get a 2, okay, all right.
It's the reaction of watching the ball.
That is.
Turn your head.
Yeah.
He made the pass.
Exactly.
All right. Here's another one. I actually thought you were going to draw this one up, but it's fine. I'll get to Paul George in a second. You're taking it out.
Yep.
5-man. Let's say this is the 3. This is the 4. And this is me.
Is your son's team, they're running this type of shit already?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to draw up one of my favorite plays in a second. And we run this, literally. So slap of the ball, 4-man, he's gone.
Yep.
He's gone over here.
Yep.
He empties out.
Yep.
Okay. Ball goes into 5. 3, passes to 3.
Is this what the fuck?
Is that what you call it?
Rip screen to the pin down?
Yeah, I call it Indiana.
Yeah.
After Paul George.
Yeah.
So,
I think Phil Jackson, those guys called it what the fuck.
I'm being guarded by probably a 6'4" guy.
Yeah.
Probably not the second best defender. You're getting guarded by, whoever. So I'm going to set this rip screen right here.
Yes.
They don't want to switch.
Nope.
So potentially you get a lob, layup, dunk, whatever.
Yep. Your guy going to help just a little bit.
As soon as that happens.
Yep. Yeah. I think Phil and those guys called it what the fuck. You call it Indiana?
I called it Indiana.
Yeah.
Brett Brown used to run this for me. And you know what's weird? I would actually be in both positions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say this is Robert Covington and this is Joel. So when the ball would go over there, I would act like Cov would come try to set this rip screen. I would act like I would come off and just push off and come off Joe.
I'm glad you said push off too. That's very key to the viewers.
It is definitely.
It is very key.
The other thing that happens.
What about Clipper down?
Oh, we're gonna get to that in a second. The other thing that's gonna happen. Let's say I'm still playing somehow. So I come and what do? I slip out of there.
Yeah.
Right. I act like I'm gonna set the rip screen, slip out of there.
Yep.
I get it that way. I think. Don't quote me on this. The reason I call it Indiana is because of Brett Brown.
Yep.
But I think the reason Brett Brown calls it Indiana is because of Paul George.
Really?
I was at a Clippers game with my kids over spring break. They were playing the Sixers, and he took it out, and they ran it, and I was like,
Paul George took it out.
Indiana.
And he faked going.
He made a 3 at the top of the key.
He
right
faked
side.
like he was going to go to the rip screen and just bounce back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great play.
Yeah.
It's a great play. All right, here's one for you. So, this is CP right here.
Yep.
This is Clay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Trace Jackson Davis.
Yep.
All right, so if CP comes off of Clay
Yep.
and comes off of Trace Jackson Davis, what is going to happen?
A rescreen for Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yep. Oklahoma. Oklahoma
Or
small.
Oklahoma small.
Yeah.
I call it both things.
Yeah, it's okay.
I call it both things.
We're talking the same language. Yes.
My assumption here also is that we call it Oklahoma because of Kevin Durant.
Really?
I assume so. I could be wrong on that.
No, I mean, there's no other reason to call it Oklahoma. It's not like, I mean,
We're
they
not
didn't
gonna,
have a team there before.
You know, we're not going to use the word hate. We're not going to use the word hate today. We're not going to use the hate. You and I dislike, and as an offensive player in this position, because I ran this a ton in New Orleans, and we had variants of this which with the Clippers that I'll get to in a second. But if you're guarding Klay Thompson in this spot,
Yep. And you're not switching.
and well, hold on. You can do whatever you want. Let's say you do switch it. Like, why are you not getting to a top block? It's 2024. If Klay Thompson sets a pick, he's going to get another pick. Why are you not top? It drives me crazy.
Because they don't watch basketball. It's that simple. I've realized that they only watch highlights and they don't watch basketball. If Klay is underneath the charge block, are you thinking he's going to stay down there?
End of every quarter. End of every fucking quarter. Dude. What's going to happen right here as CP comes off this screen?
Pin in. Why will nobody stay on this side and force his ass the other way?
I don't know. I'm not sorry, Clay. I'm not trying to give away all the secrets, but it is on the scouting report and it is on film. So
it's on a scouting report. It's on film.
It's worked for 10 years.
Yeah.
So like
it's on like the championship DVD that comes out after the season when you win it. Like they don't watch basketball.
All right. So Markkanen and both Clay, they do this one a lot too. So
who? Lowry
Markkanen.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
He's
him.
unbelievable.
He's been a LeBron supporter for a long time. He's like, where's my shoes?
Does he really?
Yeah, until this year, I think Nike came out with a new shoe, and then we got some talks to do out there in the Nike world. But I love that guy. He's so good.
We'll run it with Clay first. We're going to say this is Looney.
Yep.
And this is Steph.
Yep.
So, you know what? I'll go with how they're playing now. This is Draymond.
Yep.
So this is essentially same sort of idea, Oklahoma, but Klay Thompson's the second screener.
Yep.
So as Steph comes off this screen
Yep.
and comes to Klay,
Yep.
he slips.
Yep.
And Draymond or Kavan either flares or they dive.
Yep.
And he's empty side.
Yep.
All the room in the world.
Yep.
Steph brings it over here, just a little skip pass.
And
wide
if he
open
doesn't
three.
have the three, Draymond dives to the post, throw it to the post, and we go back to
split post.
Split post.
Markkanen will also be in this position. So this is JC, John
Yep.
Collins, and let's say this is Keontae George.
Yep.
Markkanen will be here, and he'll do the same thing. He'll slip, get
By
to
the way,
space.
and that's very difficult because you got JC as the first screener setting a flare for Markkanen that's getting guarded by X4 or 5. And we already established that bigs cannot navigate screens. It's not their job. But they need to learn to do it.
This was a favorite one of mine. So this is a slight variation. I think this is called Finland.
Okay. Because why?
Maybe because of Markkanen. I don't know. But in my edit, it was called Finland, and I was like,
It has to only be because of Markkanen. That's it.
I didn't call it Finland. Oh man, this is BG.
Yep.
We're gonna say this is Matt Barnes or Luka Mbamute.
Yep.
This is DJ.
Yep.
This is CP. So again, it's the same thing. It's a double drag.
Yep.
Right. But as that double drag happens,
Yep. You send the flare.
I send a rip
the screen for the lob.
for BG, and then DJ turns around, cleans me up.
Yep. Yep.
Right. We
So,
got a lot of action out of that.
Peja. It's kind of a version of Peja, you know.
Is that? Oh, you call it Peja?
Yeah, because of Peja Stojakovic.
I figured.
Yeah, because I believe he used to run that same set, rip C Webb to the post, and then Vlade would come or Brad Miller or whatever.
All right, basic stuff, but
We talking basic stuff?
No.
Yeah, we can start. Let's stay.
This. I'm not saying that stuff's all basic, but
no, it's not.
The most basic way to get, let's say it's Markkanen over here in the corner. The most basic way, obviously, is just a pin away.
It's just a pin away, for sure.
Right.
Yep.
So the guard's over here, one's over here, just a pin away. And I think teams and their defense varies so much now. Like when I played, let's say, and this was DJ, and CP would give him this action, the away action.
Go get him. Yep.
Two things would happen. I would either get top locked, or if they were on my outside shoulder, they would lock and trail. As this pin away happened, and I would curl. Right. It's pretty simple stuff. What happens now, though, what I think a lot of teams do, is the screen to screen, the guys screening. It's just positionally, it's different. So this could be Lauri Markkanen, and this could be Jordan Clarkson.
The small.
Right. The other day, this was, I think it was Jaylen Brown. This was against the Pelicans, and this was Kristaps, and Valanciunas was in the middle of the paint.
He set a flare for him.
And Kristaps went, and they top locked, and JB just set a flare, just screened in, and KP got a wide open three. So I think the away stuff, teams don't run it as, like, what'd you guys do for Korver when you had him in Cleveland?
A lot of that.
A lot of away.
Yep, a lot of away. Early in transition, go get him. You know, you bring it down one side. If the big is trailing, go get him. Early wides.
Do you remember in Atlanta with that team how high they would set those away screens?
Yeah, he wouldn't even cross half court. They was already going to get him.
Because what happens, like, I'm guarding Kyle Korver, and scouting report rule, you lock
chase
and
him
trail.
Over top.
You chase him over the top.
All the way at half fucking court.
Right.
They don't want you to shoot it.
And so they would literally set these picks.
At an angle, too. Not just straight across, because the guy can...
No. They'd come down
at
this angle right here, this high in transition. It was insane.
It was insane. That's why they had like 4 All-Stars that year. It was insane.
Norm Powell, by the way, here's another example. Norm Powell, stagger away. That's an easy one. Stagger away just means there's 2. 2 screens. Norm Powell will get that. Houston would run that for Eric Gordon. That's how he got a lot of his threes off the move. And then, of course, which, again, I hate to use Lauri Markkanen again, but the Jazz are a great example of this. Let's say this is Clarkson, and this is John Collins. You use the shooter as the first screener. He goes to pin.
He curls. And then he go clean.
And then he goes to clean them up. I say all this, by the way. I say all this because I went on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I don't want to say accused, but I was referred to as a catch and shoot player. And when I think of catch and shoot players, I think of standstill guys. But I guess there's the movement part. All of this action, all of this stuff, and as teams are getting smarter, the Will Hardys of the world, the Joe Mazzulas of the world, as they're getting smarter about how teams are matching up, when and where to screen, it just makes it harder to guard off of all of these off-ball actions.
And you're dealing with the best players in the world, the greatest players in the world. And if you happen to get not only the greatest talent in the world in your team, if you're able to get some guys that have some IQ about it as well, it unlocks even more.
We got one more, and then we'll sort of move on, because you brought it up earlier. This was my favorite play that I've ever had ran for me.
Yeah, clip her down. Yeah, for sure.
15 down.
That's what y'all call it. We called it clip her down in Cleveland. We stole it.
After me?
Yeah.
After us. After us.
After you. And we just gave it to J.R. Smith.
So this is just 15, which is a 1-5 pick and roll between CP and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, which is fluff. Tell him.
Which is fluff. Doesn't mean anything. CP would just dribble out. DJ would slip the screen. This guy in a normal single side pick and roll would be responsible.
Off the body. He's off the body because the ball's going away from him. Yep.
It's like the teaching. You just take advantage of the teaching. As the ball goes away from you, you get off the body.
Yep.
All right, he's off the body. I come around.
Yeah.
Just it.
I mean, those years you led the league in first quarter scoring.
We ran a lot of that.
Yeah, first quarter scoring.
You know
he was
that-
getting fucking 9 and 12 points this quarter.
You know what's crazy about that play was I joined the Clippers in 13-14. Yeah, 13-14. I played, I think, the first 17 games. And DeMarcus Cousins, I went up for offensive rebound. I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to catch one off the rim. This is when I was still a little bouncy. Antoine Jameson shot a little like, you know how, remember Antoine Jameson?
Yeah, for sure.
Where he would like elongate and go
for sure.
around.
Yeah.
So he shot one of those shots off the backboard, and I was in the left corner. I was like, oh, I'm gonna time this.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of jumped, and DeMarcus, you know, he's a big guy. I'm not. He just kind of gave me a little forearm shiver in the air. So anyways, I fell, and I broke a bone in my wrist and tore a ligament. And so my second game back, we play the Mavs, and we're down like 17 points with 4 minutes to go. And we make a comeback, and we cut it to, I think, 3, and we call an ATO, and it was BG was in the game because we didn't want DJ to get fouled on offense. So BG was the 5, and we ran 15 down for the first time. End of game. Monte, of course, you know, he's off the ball. I curled around, hit 3, and then it just became a staple of our offensive system. But it all came out of an ATO.
Came out of it? Wow.
It wasn't like we practiced it in practice.
Right,
we just ran it as an ATO one time. It came about. The coolest thing about that, I always tell people this, CP and DJ and me, it was all a read. We never called 15 down unless it was against like the Philadelphia 76ers at the time. No, I mean that.
It makes sense.
If I'm playing against you, or I'm playing against Rondo or somebody, and we call 15 down.
Yeah, we on top of that.
No.
Yeah, we on top of that. Right.
So if I run to the left corner and I see CP call DJ up, I'm just waiting.
Yep.
DJ might roll.
Yep.
DJ might come do the down screen.
Yep.
But it was all a read.
Yeah, you just sitting there like.
It was all a read.
Yep.
We never would call it. It was pretty interesting.
That it is. I like that.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Mind the Game podcast. If you like it, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.